Hello everybody and welcome to one more video on big units. This time the second part of the Brandywine battle, 1777, American War of Independence, and once again of course 20mm. So you see here, in fact, a good part of George Washington's army. The man is over there in front of the house that was his headquarters during the battle. So this George Washington's army is still a little bit incomplete. There are around some 10 brigades here, but there are still 5 missing. And that is due to, first of all, a certain lack of figures. I couldn't find exactly the positions. I mean, I still have figures, but not in the positions that I really wanted. And worse than that, I couldn't find no more information on the uniforms and flags of the individual units. So I put it aside and made something else. The British are finished, as I've shown you in last video, but this one is still a little bit short. In fact, this army was bigger than the British opponent, but for now is still a little bit shorter. So let's see. Mostly, I'm not going to bother you with much of the organization, and let's try to see figures and brands and way. I mean, to get to this kind of uniforms and things like that. So let's start, for instance, from this side here. You see here cavalry, and by the way, let's pick the excellent Stephen Jarvis two-part Brandywine articles. This is part one, as I've shown you on last time. This is the British order of battle here, and then this is the American. As you can see, American order of battle is bigger than British, even if it is, of course, a British victory in this battle. Then there is a second part for the wargaming of the battle. For now, only the order of battle matters for this presentation. So you see here the Dragoon Brigade of Pulaski, still a little bit short. There should be 11 stands. I only have 6 here, and they are, of course, let's try to focus. Okay, let's see if this thing. Okay, you see here the Italeri figures. They are the British Dragoons painted as American because the uniform is the same. And they are reasonable, a little bit. I mean, of course, theatrical figures like Italeri likes so much, but even so, very nice figures. Brands, as usual, plenty of, for instance, for the artillery, plenty of Revell 7 Years War, with the 7 Years War, sorry, painted as American War of Independence, of course, with some cuts here and there, but they give very good, both British and American artillerymen. As you can see, plenty of different uniforms. Some of them clad in green, others in brown, others in blue. They're all colors that the British had, that the Americans had in this conflict. The guns themselves, they are the PSC Plastic Soldier Company pieces for their game of American War of Independence. So they are gaming pieces, but they also give very good wargaming pieces because they are true 20mm size. So you see here the kind of figures, of units I do. I try to research them first, and the way I use, for instance, I use books. I mean, of course, for instance, like this one here. Probably everybody has it. Uniforms of American War of Independence. It's quite an inspiring book. Plenty of information, especially on the American side. American side is very well covered. But for me, even better than the books is Tarleton Quarters. Tarleton Quarters that you can see here, identifying each time one of the regiments that you need is covered in Tarleton Quarter. Also, many times the flag itself. So I try to follow Tarleton Quarter. Tarleton Quarter, you can find it on the internet. So it's a blog, 28mm. A guy that makes very beautiful, paints extremely well, researches extremely well also, and so it's a very good source of information for this conflict. Each time he paints a Brandywine unit, of course I'm there to try to copy it, of course. So you can see here plenty of information about this Tarleton Quarter all along the order of battle of the Americans. And remember, this is of course Miniature War Games, a very old magazine from 2005. So, gosh, almost 20 years old. My goodness. Well, so you see here the usual Revell figures mixed with accurate, because they're made by the same people, designed at least by the same people. The American, especially the volunteer units, and the ones that were uniformed by the states, by individual states, were extremely colorful. It is something that the Americans will take up to Bull Run. Sometimes there were, at Bull Run in 1861, American Civil War, there were still companies that were, clad by individual persons, rich people, and things like that. So, in these days, it happened a little bit the same. There are, of course, units that were already uniformed, more or less correctly, according to the Continental Army prescriptions, if I can say. Others were, using only one or two different types of uniforms. Sometimes there were rules in them, but other times they were a little bit of a ragtag, which makes the American infantry of this period still very interesting. In 1778, things started to change, and this kind of uniform started to show more, and the Continental Army of George Washington became more uniformed. You can see more units here, inaccurate, mixed with plenty of Revell. You can see here also this famous officer and the drummer from Airfix, of course. Plenty of Airfix figures are also mixed with Revell inaccurate. More of the same here that you probably recognize. The guy is firing while standing is Airfix. The guy next to it is Revell, and the guy kneeling is accurate. If I'm not mistaken, I think so. Yeah, it's like that. So more units here. Here are the famous Canadians. Let me check. Second, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, second Canadian from the Boer brigade. He made a big mistake, this guy, and in fact he exposed his unit, and it was one of the causes of the defeat at Brandywine. The bad tactics that the Boer used, which caused lots of casualties to the Americans. And here you have what? Here you have this is the Maryland Regiment, 2nd Maryland, if I'm mistaken, exactly. 2nd Maryland. These ones are Italeri, the new Italeri figures. Here you have again a mix of all previous three brands: Revell, Airfix, and also this running guy is also Italeri next to an Airfix and next to a Revell. I mix them all, and I like to see them all together. More units over there, you can see. Okay. For instance, the divisional commanders, of course, have an extra figure on the base, and brigade commanders, as I did with the British, only one. George Washington is here. Let's pay some attention to him. One of the most famous figures of the history of plastics, of course. It is the guy from Airfix. Even if it is not pretending to be Washington, or maybe it was pretending to be Washington from the beginning, it looks a lot with Washington, so it's a very lovely figure. And there is a second officer escorting or advising or whatever George Washington. And then this guy here is from Revell, maybe a Revell dragoon, or a guy somewhat converted from the artillery set, I think. I'm not sure, because the ones I showed you, most of them are the drivers. They became officers in the service of the American army, but in fact they started their lives as simple wagon pullers, because they are from the 7 Years' War Revell set of artillery. Yeah, this guy was for sure. Yeah, he was he was sitting on a horse and pulling the limber. In fact, I think he's even this figure. Yeah, I think so. Let me check. Yeah, it is the same figure. You can see it here in all his humbleness. So as a driver. Then I cut the whip to become a sword in some of them, as you can see. and well, they became completely different things. Regarding these limbers, they are they are in fact the carriages of the Airfix French artillery guns. Turn the other way, and the gun is out, of course. And this is one of the ways that in which in North America the guns were pulled. There were other ways. You can find a more complete limber, more or less directly from the 7 Years' War Revell set, Austrian Revell set. These guns here, I think they are from, I don't know if that is from this set, I don't think so. I think they are from the 17th century set of artillery. So, but painted, I mean, reasonably painted, they become quite nice for the American War of Independence. It's the same also, and then you have here different limbers here. Again, converted. These are conversions. This is one of the ways for the lighter guns to be pulled. And this piece was what? Was it again an American? Yeah, I think so. It was the French carriage, Napoleonic French carriage of Airfix, turned into a light limber. I think I can say so. More PSC guns here, and also Revell with added boxes to the side for them to look like these are 7 Years' War guns, but with the surplus, the extra boxes on the sides. It became very close to the American models and British models, of course. More infantry here again. Italeri, yeah. This is the 2nd Pennsylvania. You can see it here with brown jackets. This Italeri box is a very nice one because there are several figures, a little bit like Strelets makes nowadays. There are several, for instance, kneeling and firing figures. They are different ones. So when they are grouped, I think they make a very enjoyable sight. More accurate, and I mean different regiments, as you can see here. Here there's one, here there's another. Flags are of course prints from the internet. Sometimes units were more ragtag, as I told you. Others are more uniformed, whether it is the brown or buff or blue. And this is it. This is the American Army, still a little bit short, but I mean, as soon as I find more information on their uniforms and flags, I'll come back to it, because it's a period that I like a lot. So these are up to now the opponents of the larger British Army that I've showed you last time, which in fact was smaller than it should be smaller than this one, or better saying, this one should be bigger. It's the best way to say things. So hope you have enjoyed, and see you next with another big unit. Maybe I'll go to the Bekaa Valley and show you my Syrian and Israeli armored units for the war of 1982. Maybe those. Okay, see you next. Bye bye, and thank you for watching.